Actually, opposition parties, especially Telugudesam party, had been, making a lot of hue and cry that Andhra Pradesh is really broke and it is on the verge of bankruptcy, and there is no direction. I mean, you have been saying that for the between 2014 and 2019, it was directionless. But what they have been saying is, from 2019 onwards, it's a chaos, and there is nothing happening in the state other than borrowings and funding the welfare schemes or welfare measures of the YSR Congress party, the party that had promised all these welfare schemes and all. So how do you respond or react to that?
See, there are figures which cannot be disputed because these are all figures that are audited by the CAG. So what do the figures say? One, it is not possible for anybody to borrow how much ever they want to. There is an FRBM which restricts, and there are certain rules within which you actually can do any borrowing. Secondly, if we look at the borrowings, if we look at 2-3 indicators. One, the CAGR of the borrowings between 2014 to 19 and 2019 onwards, if you look, there is a 5% difference. There is a 5% difference between the debt to GSDP between the TDP regime and our government. Our government is 5% lesser. Let us look at it another way. When you look at the government of India, the union borrowings versus the state borrowings, the state borrowings between 2014 to 19 was far higher than the union borrowings, if you look at the same percentage of debt to GSDP. Whereas, in these 3 years, if you look, we are more or less at par with the union's borrowing. So, 2014 to 19, there was no crisis, there was no COVID. If at all there was a difficulty, the difficulty was because of the reorganization of the state, which required special attention to bring back the state into a position which was prior to reorganization, that is more of service, more of industry, etc. Now, you look at the debt to GSDP, you look at the rate at which borrowings were made, or you look at the limitations to borrowing, everything suggests that, the figures suggest that the TDP regime borrowed far more than what we borrowed. And on the other hand, we are borrowing at a rate or pace at which is permissible, not beyond the permissions. So, it is completely, utterly false and wrong and utter lies for them to say that we have borrowed more than them. Projecting the state as going into a debt trap, comparing it with certain countries that are in difficulty is purely political. The TDP is doing this because they do not have any other reason to blame the government that is performing to the expectations of the public, the poor, the downtrodden, and the assurances made by our Honorable Chief Minister prior to the election, as also the manifesto that we have released before the election, on which the mandate is.